Now let's review figure 15-5. It comes from Stallcup's Electrical Design Book, Volume 2. But notice we're covering neutral unbalanced loads and neutral calculations, period. Never get mixed up with unbalanced load, which is calculated in 220.61 from ground fault current. That's calculated in accordance with 110.24, or short circuit current, which is defined in Article 100. In fact, the neutral, short circuit current, ground fault current can be defined in Article 100, Part 1 in the NEC. But notice when we review 220.61A through C, let's look at the first example and illustration. What is the neutral load for a feeder with an inductive load of 400 amps? Well, the minute you see inductive load, that means no derating at all. No demand can be applied, I should say. And when you review that, then notice your 200 and 200, your 400 amps, see, that we'd be dealing with there. And if you went in, for example, what is the neutral load for a feeder with a resistive load of 400 amps? Now, once you see it's a resistive type load, then we can take the first 200 amps of 400 at 100%, giving us 200, and the remaining 200 from 400 at 70%, 140, and see that demand, we've come down to 340 amps instead of 400 in the first solution that we looked at. Up above this particular center boxed in information. Now let's look at the last example. What is the neutral load for a 9 kW range? Then we would go to table 220.55, column C, and we would calculate the neutral load. And the neutral load by 220.61b, because it's one range, and we go to the column C in table 220.55, we could apply a 70% demand. And notice we have reduced that 9 kW range. Even if it was 10 or 12 kW, we'd reduce that down to 8 kW times 70%, and the neutral would be 5.6 kW. Now that is the application of sizing the neutral with demand or no demand in accordance with 220.61A through C. And then notice if you had, for example, 100 amps on L1, 80 amps on L2, then 80 amps from 100 amps, the neutral would only see 20 amps. Now, it's almost impossible to do, but if you could do it and put 100 amps on L1 and 100 amps on L2, the neutral would see zero current. And that's basically what our 220.61 A through C is telling us when we review that section very carefully.